number 3 heifer possessed more depth of heel, which edged this female above the second placed heifer. So as you can see, you just add those words and it kind of just smooths out your place or your reasons, and you can kind of extend on a little bit more in depth and why you place these heifers over the additional one.
Moving into your next placing, so some words you can use is moving into my next pair, next in the class, in the final pair I choose, proceeding to, moving to, after closely analyzing, in my additional pair, and then you put the class name, I prefer, drawing attention to your 2 animals as I choose. Example reasoning, moving in onto these 2 more broody heifers in this class. I placed 2 over 4 after closely analyzing these 2 females. The number 2 heifer was overall more balanced female and a bit more of a leg set than 4.
Moving into grants, if you guys have any questions, just put them into the chat section as we continue. If you guys don't understand grants or anything, just feel free to ask and we'll definitely answer. So a grant kind of is just giving a reason why this female is still good in your mind, because every animal has an owner that they take very high pride in it. So if you have a heifer that's rounding out your class, you're going to want to give her a grant. Say she just isn't maybe as competitive or isn't as high performance as the other heifers ahead of her, but I grant, or I realize that she still is an impressive female that I think down the road will be highly productive for this individual. I'd just like to see her have more maturity or something like that. And these are other kind of sayings that you can use to just give that heifer or any heifer in class a grant. So another example reason of this is 3/1 as the number 3 bull simply carried more muscle mass in the hip and was more dimensional across the top and down into the stifle region. 3 was also more correct in terms of feet and leg set. However, there's your grant. The number 1 bull is a longer made bull, and I appreciate the smoothness of this bull's shoulders. So in this example, they're talking about how they place 3/1, but they're talking more about 3 and why they like them, but they're also giving that number 1 bull a grant. So they're still saying that why this bull is still impressive.
Moving on, we're going into observations placing. So an easier winner in this class. The number 1 has a define or disadvantage. Number 2 has more outstanding in this class. Example is 3 mare has a defined advantage in this class, being the longest and freest along with the more balanced mares. Additionally, you will really have to appreciate the muscle development number 3 has, which will allow for this mare to easily excel at a ranch.
Indicating close placing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of pair your placings in, and then like with the grant, you're setting those 2 animal placings in pretty high differences. But when you've got a close placing in class, you can kind of pair them together a little bit more and use, like in a close pair, I choose or placed number over number because, or number 1 gets the edge because. And it's just kind of tying those words and kind of changing them around a little bit to have that animal, or like tell the judge that those animals we're close pairing to you. So those animals could be flipped either way, but just today you felt that this animal was more impressive in terms of blank. Example reason is in this class, number 4 had a slight advantage due to the additional depth of flank and width across this steer's chest floor. This steer matched closely with the rest of the class in terms of overall finish and length of body. So in that, you're just kind of saying that the steer is close in pairing, but for you, he just sat in this placing in the class due to an additional depth of flank.
So just again, the 4-H Alberta Provincial Judging Competition is March 8th at Lakeland College in Vermilion. If you would like to sign up, go on the 4-H website. It starts at 8 a.m.
Is there any questions? We can probably pull up a practice class here. I know we kind of went a little fast through that, but if there's any ones you want us to go back to and kind of explain a little bit more. Is anybody posting in? No. I guarantee you guys, if you guys have a question, that other people have the same question as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I apologize that was kind of pretty fast.
Is there like an example another one we can run through?
We have that other one we can go through.
We have another slide that we can go through a little bit more in depth on trends or on just let me.
Mackenzie did have a question. She has to go back to the first slide. Maybe just review that really quick too.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So your conjunctive words are used to help tie sentences or statements together. It just kind of smooths out your reasonings and adds a little bit more kind of depth and extends your reasons out and just makes them blend a little bit smoother when you're doing your comparisons in a class. So like there's lots of examples, and I know 4-H has a very impressive booklet that you can look through and kind of gather some practice words and try and kind of use them and just practice when you're kind of going around in the pen or you're just kind of thinking about that kind of stuff. You just got to kind of practice with with conjunctive words.
Nice, thank you. Bronwyn also had a question. Could you explain what a horse track is supposed to look like?
A horse track?
Mm-hmm.
So a horse's gait, it's called, which is kind of their stride and how they move. There's different types of gaits, but you want it to be an even and pretty similar to cattle. You want their back foot to replace their front foot in the same place. Usually if you're judging at a horse competition, they'll walk and trot those horses, and it's just kind of listening to how even the gait is and how the rhythm is. And you can kind of notice if maybe they're a little slower off their one back leg, or they're maybe not following through, or maybe their back legs kind of hit like this, and you don't really want any of that. You want a nice even gait, and you want them to be moving smoothly and in that kind of way. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have
Is there
another.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple questions filtering in, so
Perfect.
I just read them out to you. So the next question is, could you please go back to the sentences with easy winners? I think is what.
Oh, I think it's back one. Right there.
So with obvious placings, do you want to? Good. So it's kind of more, you're setting your animal that you place ahead on a pedestal almost. So you're going to want to have a little bit more reasons to why they're more higher in class versus your animal that is placed a little bit lower. So you can say the easy winner in this class is, and then you give a bunch of statements kind of why you like them the most. And just kind of putting that animal on a pedestal in that class and explaining to the judge why you feel that this animal is number top in the class and won it very easily. You can just start saying like, this female led the class off in an impressive way. She caught my eye as soon as she entered the ring. She's highly impressive in the way she gets out and tracks. She's the broodiest female in this class, and overall I feel that she'll be the most productive down the line. Moving on into my second place female, a female that is still highly impressive, but just lacked the production or something like that. So like in that setting, I said multiple reasons, maybe three, about my first place animal and why she was at the top. But then when you move into your second place, you're kind of just saying she was good in this way and this way, but she didn't compete with my first place heifer in this. Does that answer your question?
That was from a Dylan. Hope it did. Yeah, she says thank you.
Okay.
And then Maddox asked, could you explain what a ewing lamb should look like?
A ewe lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always got told when I was younger to try and judge them like a steer. There is a lot of differences, but when you're first kind of learning, something that I found really helpful was looking up terminology and just kind of, there's lots of classes online where judges will judge them and they'll go through what they look for. But you're going to want structurally correct. So you're not going to want them too straight in their structure, which is the same as a beef animal. And you're going to want them to have some width from behind. You want them to be clean chested. You don't want them to be carrying too much extra weight or be too fat, because they're like a ewe lamb, so they're going to be a breeding stock in the future. And yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, because there is lots of videos online that'll go in a lot more depth. Off the top of my head, I'm not the but yeah, there's lots of useful classes online as well.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Do we have any more questions?
Is there any questions on kind of formulating a set of reasons?
Should we run through an example?
Sure.
Show. And then we did have another question here. Lynette just asked, why do rams have to HS?
Sorry, can you just repeat that question?
Mm-hmm.
Is literally huge.
Why do rams have to HS? That was supposed to be.
You said there was music. Couldn't hear a word you said.
You can't hear us?
No, I can hear you. I was just wondering what HS is. Oh, Lynette says they figured it out.
Okay.
And then Tyson asked if we can do a practice bull class.
A practice bull class? Okay. I have a heifer class up here.
That's okay. Let's jump into that.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then I don't know if that might give you a little bit of, I don't know if you have a bull one too, but heifer's good.
I'm a guy that does a lot of things.
Sorry. Okay, so here we have a class of 4 Simmental influenced heifers. And we have them all side by side to just kind of analyze them. What I like to do is you kind of like to look at them all individually at a time and just kind of analyze what you like about them, maybe things that stick out to you. In this class, we've got 2 heifers with a couple identifiers. They've both got a little bit of white on their face. You can kind of mention that. Do you have anything? So we'll watch these heifers kind of move, and you can kind of judge them off that and look at them. So for me, I feel that I would place this class 2, 1, 3, 4. I started my class off with the number 2 female. I think the female that's maybe just put together in the best way possible. She's the most balanced in the class from front to end. She carries herself out on the move quite highly. I like how clean she is up through her front and how extended she is through her skeleton. Moving on to my second place female, I think a female that is still highly impressive, but didn't compare to my first place female in terms of just broodiness and how she got on the move. I'd say that my close pairing was my bottom 2, and for me today, the number 3 heifer just sat ahead of number 4 in terms of length of body and having a little bit more depth of rib. Rounding out my class was number 4, a female that I think is still highly impressive, and I grant that she will be productive down the road. But for me today, I think she just got outpowered. And that being said, like those are short sets of reasons, but you go in and you're comparing them and you're giving grants and using those words, moving on, comparing these two. I'd like to, these 2 heifers were very close in class for me today, but in that kind of way, and using those words and just practicing those. Do you guys have any questions? Does that kind of see in a set of reasons what we mean with those transition words and the grants?
Mhm.
I'll see if I can find a bull calf class.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. It is nice seeing it like a visual as well, and like in motion. Sometimes it's hard to imagine.
Here is a class of Simmental performance bowls, and the way that this is set up is you're analyzing them each as an individual bull calf. And so we start the class off, we've got a number 1 bull that is a black Simmental bull.
And then we got Simmental red blaze face one.
And when you're looking at these single bulls, you're just kind of seeing what kind of sticks out to you on first glance, and maybe what you like about them and maybe what you don't exactly like. And you're picturing them each as individuals. You're not already trying to compare, just kind of things that stick out to you for that individual. And then we have another black Simmental bull.
And then we have black blaze Simmental bull.
I'll let you guys look at those for a bit.
We had a question that was, do you want a straight back? Which we did go over.
Yes, you want a straight back, like you want them to be comfortable. I'd say all of these bulls have a very strong top line in that way. The main thing, especially when you're looking at bulls, you want structurally correct bulls. So you're going to be looking to make sure that those back legs aren't too straight. I'd say the number 1 bull in the top left, he's a little bit more straight in structure wise, whereas the number 3 bull is maybe a little bit more relaxed, or the number 4 bull is a little bit more relaxed. And in that, I mean, his back legs, they aren't in a straight line. Like, they're more structurally correct. So in this class, you can view them and you can see that there's 2 bulls that you can talk about. Instead of saying their numbers, you can say, I liked the red bull in terms of how much capacity and muscle and stoutness he had. Or you could talk about the black white blaze bull. And you can pair them all together, like you can pair some together if they're close in class. I think all these bulls are quite different in type. There aren't really 2 that kind of pair together. Do you want to talk about this class, Janice? Do I have to? So I'd start this class off with the Red Bull. And when I think about my reasons, you really want to set your number one animal on a pedestal. And in that meaning, like, he won this class and he is a winner in your mind. You don't want to place him in first and talk a little bit more about your second place, because he's sitting in first in a reason for a reason, and everybody has a different opinion, and your goal is to tell your opinion and it is right. So the Red Bull, I think, wins this class pretty easily. It could be you could say, if you want to have a close pairing, that the 3 bull maybe, or the 4 bull. I'd say for this class of Simmental performance bulls today, I feel that there was a pretty similar close top pairing that could go either way, depending on what you're looking for in a breeding bull. But for me today, the Red Bull just won in terms of how stout he was and how powerful in his structural correctness. I love him off the profile for how much length of skeleton he has. And then you can say, furthermore, my second place bull that is really close with him or is highly comparable with him is number 3. And you can kind of say that they have similarities, but my second place bull, number 3, just lacked in overall performance, or I didn't like as much how he got out on the move. I grant, or I realize that he is still a highly productive bull, and that is why he is sitting in second for me today over number 4. And you want to make sure that you're granting every animal. And that being said, even your 4th place animal, you want to make sure that you're still granting him and giving him some positives. Does anybody have any questions?
We had one question that came in that was, sometimes people will ask what the split between the class, like how close the class was, and what does that mean?
So a split can be, your splits can be like 1, 2, or 1, say. And if you have like a 1, 2, and 4, so that means if it's 1, 2, and 4, your top 2 placings, the judge felt that they were very close in where they were placed. So that would be like when you're saying at the beginning of the class, I feel that these 2 bulls could have been switched either way, depending on your opinion. So that means that you will only be losing 1 point in your judging your placing score, because the judge felt that they could go either way, and you can argue that. If you have a split of 4, that means that judge felt that was a easy placing, and that those placings can't be argued to be switched. Does that answer your question? If it doesn't, I can try and explain it more too.
Thank you.
So like with those splits, like that's what we were kind of talking about. If you have a easy winner over your other one, that's where you define that in your reasons, right? Your reasons, you're just explaining how you place them and why you place them. And you can say if those bulls were hard for you to place, like if you couldn't decide and they took a little bit longer for you to decide where they should be placed.
Okay.
Is there any other questions about reasons or anything like that?
Have any more questions coming in? So any final questions?
Has this helped you guys?
That's a good one. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good. Good. I hope so.
Yeah, we're
Um,
getting lots
But
of
we hope to see you at the competition because we will be there. And we've got some fun surprise classes.
That's
So
exciting.
you guys come.
One more question. Is it good for a sheep to have a thin head?
It depends. Like you don't want it really thin. It's kind of like on your females and your beef animals, you want them to have a proportionate head to their body. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Well, I shouldn't answer for them, but and then another question. What if there was only 3 in a class?
If there's 3 in the class, you're still gonna place them and do your reasons as normal. You're just gonna have 1 less in the class. Sometimes it just so happens that if you've got 4 animals up and you're being judged, 1 animal maybe gets a little worked up, and that animal gets end up being pulled out of the class. So then you just judge that class as normal as you would, just with 3 head.
Awesome. And then another question. So you want the females to be more feminine, right?
Do you want to answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in feminine terms, like you want them to look like a female because they're going to be passing that on to their offspring, and hopefully they'll be getting it out or getting that from, like, the offspring will be getting both from their mom and dad. When you're looking for feminine, you're looking kind of in their neck area, like over their crest. So you, in a bull and a steer, they're going to have a little bit more crest, so that's going to be a little bit more like this. And then for females, you're gonna want more of a smoother crest and kind of like clean in through their chest. I saw market heifers pop up there. Market heifers can be a little bit different in type, whereas they're just going to be for market animals. So they're gonna be, their end goal is this, similar to a market steer. So femininity, sorry, is not as big of a deal in your market heifers as it is in your breeding females.
Perfect. And then another question, will we have to do reasons on objects at the competition?
Depends what age group you are to.
Yeah.
What you give reasons for.
We're trying to bring other classes in and not just livestock. So there may be some objects, depends on what age group you are in. But for the younger members, I believe it'll just be placings for objects.
Do you guys see that one?
Yeah. So you can judge meat. There's sometimes we've judged some steak classes or animals on the rack based off how they marble and things like that. But that's all I'll say about that.
Fair.
Well, if there's no more questions, I'd just like to say that judging is fun. No, you don't, sadly. Sadly, we don't get to taste test the steak. But I just want to say judging is lots of fun, and the goal is always to go out there and have fun. And I know sometimes it can be intimidating if you haven't always done it, but I guarantee that if you guys come to the competition, you'll have tons of fun. And you'll learn lots. Yes, it is very fun. We are
Yeah.
on the judging club at college and we chose to judge. So yes, it's very fun.
That's awesome. Uh, is it fun even if you're always wrong? Yes. Yes.
Sometimes it can be frustrating at competitions, but that being said, everybody has a different opinion on how they place a class, and that is why everybody always goes to different competitions and works again. But yeah, like everybody has a different opinion. You're never wrong. It's just what at the end of the day, what the judge felt that the class should be placed.
Mhm. So sometimes it's about, connecting with your fellow 4-Hers and chatting this stuff through and like learning. Sometimes you learn the best when you fail.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he wasn't asking. Misread that, but good message nonetheless. Awesome. Any other questions? Comments? If you guys need any other resources, or if you're confused about anything, you can always reach out to the programs team at 4-H. We can send those questions off to our lovely judges over here, or get you connected with them if you have more questions. But always happy to field things and field questions if they come up later. Just give us a shout. And I think if there's no more questions or comments, then you guys can turn on your cameras really quick if you want and wave off to our lovely volunteers who spent their evening with us. Say a little thank you. And then yeah.
Bye guys. Hopefully it helped.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alexi.
Hi.
Mom says hi,
Bye.
Awesome. Okay. These ones are